and welcome to Wednesday's edition of Live, I would say with Aimee in Bristol, but he is not interested again today. In fact, he's scoring and eating his sister's food because she's at doggy daycare. So, we are making a classic recipe today, classic in the sense of we are making challah. So, for our Jewish friends right now, just starting Hanukkah, happy celebration. The lighting of the menorah started on Sunday, and challah is one of those recipes that I love to make. It's a treasure for me. Those of you who do enjoy challah, there are many recipes. I will post a couple of them actually on my VIP page. If you are not on my VIP page, come on over, join us. I post every single recipe on there and love to share, and I love that you guys share your recipes as well. So this recipe can be done both vegan and regular. Because my daughter, who is vegan, is not here, this is a regular challah recipe. And I'm going to do two different variations because I've already actually started one because I wanted you to see what the dough looked like. And then we're going to prep one so that you actually can see the process and how very simple challah is to make, how delicious challah is to make. And once you have the dough set, there are many variations that you can do with the dough. So you all know I'm one of those, if you have a Pampered Chef product, what else can you do with it? For example, the brownie pan, many things, square potatoes, mashed meatloaf, lasagna, you know that I love to do that. Well, I love to do that with a recipe as well. Take a basic recipe and pizzazz it or make it your own. So today is a very traditional challah recipe, and it actually, you can use your mix master. So if you do have a KitchenAid, go ahead and do it. My suggestion would be to use your KitchenAid because you are going to need it in the mix master for 7 to 8 minutes. And then it just magically does its own thing. So I will get my computer, which I should have had here for you. Okay, so I'm going to show you what we're going to start with. We're starting with two different bowls, okay? So we've got the glass bowl. So this is just the medium glass bowl. I need 6 tablespoons of oil. Now you can use any oil, whether it's a vegetable oil, a canola oil, extra virgin, whatever you need to use. My suggestion is use a light oil. So I am going to use what I have, which is a tiny bit of vegetable oil. Apparently I should have got some this week when I grocery shopped. And then I'm going to top it up with the rest with extra virgin. And the recipe that I have here that I'm going to show you guys once the dough is done, I actually did use EVOO, okay? So it had extra virgin already. And again, one of my favorite extra virgins is the President's Choice because I find it's very light and delicious. So 6 tablespoons of oil and 6 tablespoons of honey. I'm just using an organic honey that was gifted to me. If you've got a local vendor of honey, whatever you would like. If you've got a flavored honey, it would just, again, add some pizzazz to your challah. There is no right or wrong. Again, one of those basic recipes that you can do anything with. Now, like I said, this recipe is not vegan. Therefore, we are using honey and we are using eggs, okay? So you want to put your eggs at room temperature. They just mix better. You don't ever really in baking want to use a cold egg. If you have forgotten to take your eggs out, like I normally do, just take a simple bowl of warm water and just toss your eggs in warm water. 20 minutes, it will do the trick. So we're doing 3 eggs, and then we're going to be doing 1 of our egg yolk. Okay, so we're just taking the egg yolk. We are going to save the whites because we would like to do a nice wash at the top of our challah, making it beautiful. So we've got the egg yolk there. And then we need 3/4 of a cup of warm water. So normally I just use a tap water. I do not pre-boil my water. I have a filtration system and I trust Challah water, so I just use that. So I just let my water run just a teeny bit, just to make it a nice temperature. And again, 3/4 of a cup of water. And we're just gonna whisk this together, okay? So again, really easy, pretty basic things in your cupboard that you already have. Now again, I will post the vegan recipe. So if you would like to use that one, absolutely have at her. I know Lauren in Montreal, she does as well, makes a vegan version. And just whip that together. So it's got the eggs, the honey, the water, and the oil. We're just gonna let that sit. In the meantime, we're gonna take 4.5 cups of flour, and we're just gonna mix that right into the mix master. So again, if you do have a KitchenAid or any variation of a KitchenAid, this is live TV, folks. Yep, I'm making a mess. If you have any variation of a mix master, my suggestion is to use that just because it will mix so much nicer. So 4.5 cups of flour. We're using, I'm trying to remember the recipe, 2 tablespoons. Hold please, I believe it's 2 tablespoons of yeast. It might be the 2 tablespoons of salt. Let's not mix those up. I need, why would I have the recipe up? Why would I? Honestly. Why would I not have the full on agreement? There we go. I need 2 tablespoons of, 1 tablespoon of the yeast. Okay, so I'm going to use, this is the 1/2 teaspoon, tablespoon, good Lord. So that's 1 tablespoon of yeast. And salt, I need 2 teaspoons. 2 teaspoons of salt. And then I'm just gonna mix that up. And that's it. So again, a really easy, simple recipe. Just the dry ingredients, the wet ingredients. Now we're going to add the wet ingredients to the dry ingredients. And then we're going to put the dough hook on. And we're going to allow the mix master to knead this for 6 to 8 minutes. Okay? So I'm just going to throw that on the machine. Hey Siri, set an alarm for 6 minutes.
I set your alarm for 1:15 p.m. Your alarm is set for 1:15 p.m.
Oh, good. Both my iPad and my watch are now going to tell us. Okay, so while that's doing its business, I want to show you what I did 2 hours ago. Okay? So I simply, the machine did its magic. It kneaded it for 6 minutes. It did all of that. Then I added a little bit of oil to the bottom of my bowl just so that it wouldn't stick. I covered it with my silicone lid using my large glass bowls, as we know, and you can see here, it is a nice, gorgeous color. Really easy recipe, and that is all I need to do. So I'm going to put it onto I have my silicone mat. I am just going to flour it a little bit, and I'm going to knead this for a couple more minutes and just get the air bubbles out. Okay? Just going to knead that. You can see there, it's not sticky at all. Again, like any other recipe that's dough recipe, I don't want a really sticky recipe. Now, this does start out sticky, and I will show you once the pan is done. It is a stickier dough than a regular yeast dough, than a regular bread dough would have. And you want it a little bit sticky. You do want it a tiny bit sticky, but you don't want it sticking to your hand, okay? So we're gonna let that sit here for a minute and rest. And let it do its business while we do the next step. So I am going to be making sugar, and then we're gonna knead that into our bread and make it almost like a dessert or a breakfast loaf. This can also be sliced later, make beautiful French toast. Again, a really beautiful basic recipe that you can do many things with, and that's what I love. And again, it is the season for challah, and I absolutely love that right now we can incorporate the holiday with the good food. So I am going to take my apple corer. I have just peeled my apple. For those of you that just popped on at the beginning of the video, I was peeling my apple. These are apples that I picked back in apple picking season, so they are very soft, which is great for this easy recipe, which I'm just simply chopping the apples. I'm going to throw them into my manual food processor. Once again, using our MFP, what else can we do with this sucker? Another great thing you can add into this apple slice challah is applesauce. If you've got any homemade applesauce, you can knead some of that in. Now keep in mind, any time that you do add some extra liquids to anything, you will be adding extra moisture, and you would have to add a little bit of extra flour. You might need to do that when you're kneading. So because of that, I'm not going to bother with the applesauce. I'm just going to chop away my apples, and I'm going to make them into a small kind of mush so that I get the flavor, and we're still going to have the nice pieces. So that's just one big apple. If you did want to add another one, absolutely, guys, this is your bread. You can do with it what you want for sure. Okay, so I'm going to add the cinnamon sugar, okay? We're going to just add all this together. Now, my manual food processor is probably one of my favorite products because the blade and the bowl goes into the freezer. I love the fact that on the bottom it's a non-slip grip. And so if you've got little hands at home and you love to have them into the kitchen with you, this is one of those products that they'd be able to help you with. So I'm going to add some brown sugar to my recipe. So I'm probably going to add about 3 tablespoons. That's 1, 2, 3 tablespoons of that. And we've got our cinnamon, and we have our cinnamon plus. And the difference between the two, as I've talked about before, the cinnamon plus has cloves, it has orange peel, it has nutmeg, and obviously allspice. Okay, so I'm going to add about a half a tablespoon to my brown sugar. And again, you can use regular cinnamon if you like. I mean, we have both. But right now, I absolutely love to use the plus because it's in season. So I've got the cinnamon and brown sugar mixed into that. The smell is divine. It smells like the holidays to me. I'm going to add our apples to that. And that's our 6 minutes. Now I'm going to quickly show you what is happening. I'm going to give it another minute because I didn't get, I didn't get all the flour off the side, so I want to show you there. I am throwing flour all over my floor today. Good times. So you can see there what the dough looks like. It is definitely more sticky than a regular bread dough, and that's the egg giving it that. I'm going to give it another minute or so to knead. Hey Siri, set an alarm for 1 minute.
Your alarm is set for 1:16 p.m. I set your alarm for 1:16 p.m.
And I'm just going to put that back on. Okay, so I've got the apples and the cinnamon sugar all mixed in here together. Oh my God. Technology is great except when it's not. Okay, so we've got the apples and the cinnamon sugar all mixed in together, and that's all we're going to do. Okay, next step is we're going to take our dough again. Let me move all this. We're done with all this. Now you guys need to see. Let the magic happen. So we're now going to take the dough, I'm going to put some of the apples, and I'm going to start kneading the apples, brown sugar cinnamon mixture, into the dough. Okay? So we're just going to knead it. This is where the messiness kind of starts. We might need to add a little bit more flour. We're just going to keep kneading it. If you want to add more, go ahead. If you find it's enough, you do you, absolutely. I'm going to add a little bit more apples to that. And again, you can see it's starting to get shiny, it's a little bit messy, the apples. And that's why I suggest, one of the recipes I had found earlier had applesauce in it. And I just thought it was just gonna be a little bit too messy. Okay, so you can see there it's a little bit wet now. And I'm gonna add some of the flour to this. Give it a little bit more kneading. And get it to that state that it's not so sticky. Okay. Smells amazing. All right, so we're just about there. I know it looks a little messier than it started off with, but you want it to the state that we can start rolling it out. Okay? Excellent. There we go. Just gonna put some flour onto our mat. And you can see there we're back to a normal state. Now my hands are a little sticky, that's because of the kneading with the apples. And so now I'm just going to wash my hands 1 second, I'll get back to you. For a second, I'm going to show you what the dough should look like. So you can see there, it's stuck to the bread dough paddle, but it's not totally sticky. Now it is definitely stickier than, like I said, a regular bread, but it's coming out into a nice form. And that's the consistency that we're looking for. Now we're gonna let this rise for about 2 hours. So again, it's sticky but not totally sticky. I'm gonna get all that I can out of here. And then we're gonna let that do its business for 2 hours. Now after the 2 hours, you saw when it first came out what it looked like. So the beginning is kind of that stickiness. You have put a little bit of oil in the bottom of a glass bowl. And then you just let it sit and rise. When it is done, it will be less sticky. It is doing its beautiful business together with itself. And you are then able to do whatever recipe that you would like, because it is, like I said, a very great and easy basic recipe. Okay, so we've got that. I'm just gonna toss it in the oven. And let that rise. Okay, let me wash my hands again. This is another great recipe if you do have littles at home as well. Maybe I need a pastry mat. Oh yeah, Barb, absolutely you need a pastry mat. Absolutely. This is one of my favorite things. I talked about bread, I think maybe last week or one of the videos I shot, and my grandmother and my mom they've always done their baking on their counter. So I just thought that's what everybody did. And it wasn't until I started selling Pampered Chef and then started watching videos about how and why people have pastry mats, and that was one of the very first things I did. So this is one of our newer toys that came out in the fall. They come in a 2-pack. It comes with the metal one that almost has, you can see there, well, first of all, it's got measurements, which is awesome. The other thing it does have is it's got some, almost like a sharp blade, obviously not sharp enough to cut my fingers, but perfect enough for the dough and to divide dough evenly. It's great for scraping, so it is a bench scraper as well. So I'm breaking the dough in half. I am also going to just continue to just put a little bit of flour so that the insides don't stick to itself. So I'm breaking it in half. Then I'm doing the half again. And each side will have the half and then a half again, so that we have 4 quarters. And this is where we're going to braid our beautiful challah. Okay, so we've got our 4 pieces. Now, those of you who know me and know me well, I am not perfect. I've never boasted to be perfect. So to me, it doesn't have to be perfectly rolled out. It could be to whatever degree you would like to. When you do add fruit of any kind to the challah, you will find it is a bit messier than regular challah. This recipe is gorgeous in a cast iron pan, and just making it almost like a casserole. So I'm going to, the best I can here, our ends are falling off, make our roll logs. Okay, and these will start to rise as well while we're sitting here. They do not need to be perfect. You can easily do a 3 braid versus a 4. A regular challah is a 4 braider. Depending on what you're doing, you might want to do a 3 or a 2 and just do a twist. And you know, with my apples today, I might even just do a twist. And what, again, this is a normal braid that you would do. Today, what I'm actually going to do, and I will post a picture afterwards on the VIP page. Again, if you're not part of the VIP page, go on over there. That's where you're going to get the recipe. And I'm going to not only send you the recipe for a regular challah, also the vegan version, like I said, and today's recipe with the apple spice. I'm going to do them into their own individual little round, a round instead of a braid, but a round, like a, oh my gosh, a bun would be the key word that I'm trying to say. So almost like a challah bun, and that's what I'm doing. I am taking these as gifts for tonight for dessert. We've got just a little bit of sweetness for it. It's just nice enough. And again, I am going to roll them the best I can. And again, they don't have to be perfect. That's the joys of any of our baking. And I'm gonna put it into our cast iron. Oh my gosh, that one is really sticky. So let me show you what this one is not as sticky. Okay, so we're gonna roll it out. And now we're just going to twist it and just keep it twisted, 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 twisted. And we've got ourselves a little challah bun, okay? So I am going to individually bake them on a sheet. And yes, Barb, Annie just picked up her baking mat. Don't tell Robert, though. Don't tell Robbie. So again, we're just gonna roll out our challah, and we're just gonna twist it, just keep rounding it up. And we've got our perfectly little apple spice buns. Really, really simple recipe, really delicious. This one is a little bit messy, and I will give you that 100%. Regular challah is normally, when you're not adding a fruit to it, you can add chocolate to it, you can add, I've added garlic and cheese to mine, I've added herbs and spices to mine, and those aren't as sticky, obviously. Once you add fruit, you're adding a little bit of moisture, so we're just adding more flour, and that's okay. And again, we're just rolling, 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 and once it's baked, it comes up as a gorgeous little cinnamon apple, almost like a blossom. The dough is different, so therefore it doesn't taste like a cinnamon bun, but just a a gorgeous variation to a really simple staple recipe, especially right now during Hanukkah. And for those celebrating, I am so thankful that we have all these beautiful, gorgeous recipes that we are sharing with one another. So I'm gonna toss these onto, I'm not going to take it out of my cupboard. I should have already done it because look at me, Mom, look at my hands. I'm going to put this into a cast iron. I'll put some photos of it onto my VIP page. This is a really simple recipe. You guys saw from start to finish. We were 25 minutes, that was to make the dough, chop up the apples, and put our seasonings. Now, we will let that other run rest for 2 hours, so I had pre-done that for 2 hours. But again, a really easy, basic recipe that you can take, and right now celebrating different nationalities and different cultures, and I'm so incredibly glad and happy to have had a very good friend share this recipe. So those of you celebrating, it's a kickoff to our Christian holiday, Merry Christmas. And to those who are Jewish and celebrating the holiday, Happy Hanukkah. And let's eat bread, guys, because I don't know about you, but it's one of my favorite things to do. Happy Wednesday, everyone.